Welcome to the park where Meiji Shrine is located in Shibuya, Tokyo, Japan. Welcome to a real-world camera test using the Insta360 One X. I'm trying to take some photos with this. It actually came in really handy for this photo, where we didn't really have anybody to take the photo, but no matter where we position the camera, we were sure to be able to zoom in, crop the photo, and it was perfectly fine. So just put it down, take the photo, and go. Honestly, this camera's already super fun to use.
That right there is the Insta360 One X. This is the camera through which you're going to be seeing a lot of Shibuya, Tokyo, and yeah, it's a nifty little thing that does 360 video, but it's not about the 360 video. It's not like you're going to be putting on a VR headset to watch this video. Instead, Insta360 have made it so that you can manipulate any of the angles, any of the 360 degrees that you capture using this camera. Now, this is the most that you're going to see of the actual camera itself, because after all, this is a real-world camera test, and a lot of the footage, most of the footage in this video was taken on this using a selfie stick so that I get a little bit of length, and basically what I looked like the entire time I was using this camera was like this. Speaking of not seeing things anymore in this video, this camera is actually smart enough to know that everything below it is probably a selfie stick, so it removes it from the final video, and that's super cool. So it just looks like in the footage that I have kind of a stiff arm and it's just in one place the entire time, but in reality, I'm holding the selfie stick and I just have it out like this. You can probably tell already, but this is days after I got back from Tokyo, and I'm actually here in the Philippines at a farm right now, which is also a good place to use a 360 camera because of all the lush nature around us. But yeah, this is days after, and one of the reasons why I waited until a little bit after the Tokyo trip itself is because, well, the editing process is a little bit different for something like this camera. Now, if you follow me for a while, you know that I'm all about those wide-angle lenses, and I love being able to show my surroundings with me in them. That way I can share with you where I am and be able to show a lot of my surroundings. Now, 360 cameras are perfect for that purpose, but there's another reason why this is really great. It's because you take a 360 video and you're not actually showing the 360 video in, let's say, a virtual reality space. Instead, what Insta360 have done with this camera is give you the ability to take all of that footage, find the portion of it that you want to show, and generally it will be a very wide angle, and you just cut that out. So what that means is a lot of possibilities. One thing you will notice though is that I'm mic'd up right now. The reason why is because the audio from this camera is not necessarily great, but I can give that a bit of a pass because this is what you look like when you're using it. You should be using the selfie stick, that way you can get that farther away angle and put yourself inside of the surroundings even more.
Come on. How freaking cool is that? about this camera is that it doesn't matter where you are. I can go like this.
You can go like this.
Still vlogging.
And you
but
still
who are
have
you looking
both
at?
the videos.
Who are you looking at in the video? Who are you looking at in the video?
Wait, why am I doing that?
Anyway, any thoughts on Meiji Shrine or this park? I want to say this is Shibuya Park, but it's Meiji Shrine's in the middle. Yeah.
Pretty like everything else. Peaceful like everything else.
I love that the first major attraction that we went to was like a peaceful thing. It probably should have been the last thing we did because we're gonna get overwhelmed tomorrow and Shinjuku and Ginza. So just to give you a peek behind the curtain real quick, I'm gonna be cutting up the clips. So in any given 360 clip that I've taken with this camera, I could take out a segment of it and use it as a piece of B-roll, and you wouldn't even know it came from. I could probably make a vlog out of like.
You know, it's the Insta360 winning feature.
Yeah.
Because there have always been 360 cameras, but people are like, "What are you gonna do with 360 video?
Exactly.
How are you gonna do it?"
What matters is manipulating.
Yeah.
360.
And the best part is you can do it with your phone. So like, I don't have to be an editing pro to be able to use a camera like this.
Just got real. Look at that. Shit just got real. Stay right here. There, that's it right there. Okay, so we have to cross here. Not even in the horses.
Okay, so here's how I did it. We have all of the footage in the Insta360 One X app here. And if I go to this one clip, you can see that I have the entire view here, and we can change the different modes of capture. This is taking and manipulating the 360 video, but even better than that, if I go to 16:9 mode, is I can open up the free capture and go to viewfinder. This is where the fun begins. You can see that everything is moving based upon the sensors in the phone. That way I can actually use the viewfinder and pinpoint where I want the camera to look. So if I bring it over to where I am, hold this record button down and look down at myself, that's me. And you can only do this in the viewfinder mode. Move that slider over to create the tiny planet shot. So the question remains, is this the perfect vlogging camera? I think it's a great vlogging camera, but there are some caveats you have to keep in mind. Number one, there's a whole nother layer to the editing process. You'll be taking a lot of this footage, putting the SD card into the Insta360 Studio application on your desktop computer or laptop computer. But if that doesn't work out, you'll be connecting this wirelessly or through a cable to a phone, getting all of the footage down to your phone and using the phone as your editing tool. I personally prefer the phone the most because it gives you a lot of control over it, and you could do it on the go. You don't need to have a laptop or a powerful computer. After all, this is 5.7K footage in order to effectively edit this footage. And honestly, that viewfinder option is probably the most fun I've ever had actually editing video on the fly. But the thing is, you're going to go into every single clip, find the portion that you want, maybe add some pivot points, maybe use the viewfinder, and for every single clip, you're going to be putting in that work. And it finally puts out a 1080p file that you can then put into your Premiere Pro, your Final Cut, whatever the case may be, and finally, you can create the final product. But once you get done with all of that, well, a video like the one you just watched is possible. But ultimately, that is the Insta360 One X in a real-world camera test. I decided to add some perspective on here. After all, I did use some other cameras, but this is me on the actual 360 clip right now, walking toward the cows over on the other side of the fence. And it's just my way of saying that I'll call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. Look forward to the next Tokyo vlog. It's going to be a different camera, and actually, I can say it's going to be the DJI Osmo Pocket out in Akihabara in Tokyo. So you can look forward to that and some perspectives on that little pocketable camera for vlogging as well. Drop some likes on this video, get into the comment sections, tell me if you have the Insta360 One X and how you've been using it, and also just tell me what you think about it in general. But from there, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to try to get into some air conditioning right now because it is hot as hell in the Philippines, and I'll just remind you to enjoy your tea, everybody.